Today on the channel, Toys R Us exclusive, Jakks Classic Superstars Series 4. Welcome everyone, Kyle here, back again for another Jakks Classic Superstars deep dive, and today we're going over the Toys R Us exclusive Jakks Series 4 Classic Tag Teams is what they're called, but once again, not really all tag teams in this set. Same thing applies with the first three sets, and same thing applies with the fourth set. Before, back in the day, we didn't really get an announcement on these that, hey, these are coming soon. It showed up at Toys R Us. Whoever was the first to find them in Toys R Us would post them online, and that's how we knew they were out. For me, I always knew 1 to 2 weeks after initial pictures from California, it always seemed back in the day. Things have changed, but back in the mid-2000s, even the 90s, it always seemed California got things first, and about 2 weeks later, the Midwest would hit. That's how we'd kind of set our clock before the Pop Finder days and all that. My dad and I used that strategy like clockwork to find many a figure back in the day. But, you know, somebody posts this thing on the WrestleFigs board, something like that, and then we know the hunt is on. And sometimes people are like, oh, that's fake, that's doctored. Even back then, people were saying that. So it's always kind of funny, but, you know, the mad scramble, the mad dash would be on when these came out. And that's what I remember. WrestleFigs board probably was one of the ones, and other internet news groups out there that would post these guys, and that's how we'd know it was time to chase after them. But once again, it's really weird. I was, in my memory before we started these deep dive videos, I really had fond memories of these tag team sets. But, you know, what we've seen in the first 4 sets, getting to this one, not a lot of tag teams at all. It's a lot of managers or guys that feuded. The first set really was the best set, at least so far. I'm trying not to study. I'm trying to go week by week and not really look ahead on these, so I can kind of have real emotions or my real thoughts off the top of my head with these as we get to them. But into Series 4, it's like, once again, where's the tag teams? Where's some of these famous tag teams? You know, where's the Horsemen? And we got them later, I know. But, you know, some of the other tag teams out there. And this one kind of fits that. It's not a lot of tag teams again, but we'll talk about it. And, you know, I'm kind of okay with it because it doesn't need to be all tag teams. Managers and stuff, I guess it makes sense with that, but I don't know. The first set really set the tone with hot tag teams, and then after that, it wasn't a lot of hot tag teams. It was the Bushwhackers and then pretty much guys that feuded. So it's a really interesting set, interesting dynamics, and very interesting set in Series 4. And we're going to talk like we do. We're going to go through each one, and we're going to start with the Undertaker and Paul Bearer. Classic then, classic now. 2005, probably this came out. Let's see. 2006. So 14, 15 years ago, 2006. When this came out. Paul Bearer, The Undertaker, obviously manager, wrestler combo. We had Paul Bearer in the original classic line with the black bow tie or the black tie that was actually soft goods. This is a red tie that is plastic molded. A lot of the same reuse, but actually the body is different. This is the traditional manager body. I love that they gave managers bodies, but they made them way, way too big, and that's going to be a reoccurring theme throughout classic tag team series, and when we get into the 3-packs, we'll talk a lot about it. We also got a Paul Bearer in the 3-pack, probably the worst Jakks figure of all time, part of that 3-pack, but we got the a very similar Paul Bearer in that one, and we'll talk about that when we get to it. But the manager body, way too tall, once again, in this one. Paul Bearer is not bigger than The Undertaker. It's just not. He may weigh more than him, but he's definitely not taller than him as it depicts in this tag team. So that really takes a lot away. It takes a lot more away if you're an out-of-box collector with these. And you guys know, Classic Superstars, I'm all on card. I was on card back in the day. I'm on card now, even though I got a few of them. But the Paul Bearer, it looks okay in the package. I think it kind of smoke and mirrors with a little bit of bend to the knee. But boy, you get these out of the box, it's just absolutely ridiculous. Just no smoke and mirrors, nothing can help it. Paul Bearer is way too tall. And Undertaker, this is actually a really good Undertaker figure. A sleeper Undertaker figure. I don't see a lot of people talking about this one or saying, oh, I really like that classic one. Very good. Modern day, not modern day, but original Undertaker. You know, when you first think of Undertaker on the Survivor Series, that's what this reminds me of. This is more probably Tuesday Night in Texas It's got the title belt when he beat Hulk Hogan, which was a big moment. His first title win really solidified him in the history of the WWF back then when he won his title. There was no erasing that off the record books. But I actually like this Undertaker a lot more than I remembered. Paul Bearer, a little rough. But let's look at the packaging. There it is. Like I said, Paul Bearer, way, way too big. We do have an urn accessory in there, so that's a nice touch. Always good to get accessories. And then there's that Taker figure. I actually really like the Taker, like I said. You got the names down below, Classic Superstars logo. They started changing the font, or not the font, the colors here to make it a little different, just very similar to the single carded releases. And there you go. You got Undertaker and Paul Bearer on the side. And then you got the glamour shot pictures there. And then you got a pretty funny background pictures here. What's Paul Bearer doing in this picture down by my hand? What's he up to? Peeking around the corner, it looks like. I don't know, maybe scene from the funeral parlor. And you got the rest of Classics tag team set right there. We'll talk about each of those. Got the glamour shots up top, and we got a couple of blurbs we'll read about Taker and Paul Bearer. Let's see what they say. Well, let's see. The Undertaker debuted 1989, 304 pounds, 6'9". Finishing move, the last ride, the choke slam, and the tombstone pile driver. Titles, WWE Champion, Tag Team Champion, and WWE Hardcore Champion. Favorite quote, rest in peace. There you go. We all knew that. Paul Bearer debuted in 1974. His career highlights, manager of The Undertaker, manager of Kane. And I guess I'll give a little personal story. I've talked about it before. When I was a little kid, the GWF and USWA, stuff like that was on ESPN in the afternoons. Started at 3 o'clock. School got out at 3:11. Or it was 3:10, 3:11, something like that. And I would sprint home. It was about a 5-minute sprint. I would run as fast as I could home, and I would catch right after that first commercial break, I would catch the action. And that's where I remember Paul Bearer from, but I remember as Percy Pringle with the blonde hair and all that. And I remember when Paul Bearer first debuted in the WWF, most kids in my school, you know, there was no internet back then, school, everybody's like, who's this guy? I'm like, that's Percy Pringle. What is he doing? That doesn't make sense. I smelled that out a mile away, and nobody knew what I was talking about, but I remember I loved Percy Pringle. I've told before I loved Eric Embry back in the day. I know I'm one of the few. But I bought everything Eric Embry was doing as a kid, which is really weird when you compare him against, like, you know, the WWF, WCW type, larger-in-life, big muscle-bound characters. Eric Embry was in that Bill Dundee, Jerry Lawler, and very underrated guy, that Eric Embry. We're going to do a show on Eric Embry one of these days. Let's get all the figures we can. No, not really. But anyways, that was my first remembrance of Paul Bearer back in the day. So, very cool set. Paul Bearer, too tall, way too tall. It's the Jakks disease, the dreaded manager disease. This Undertaker's a sleeper. I think a lot of people have forgotten about that one over the years. So, there you go. Let's take a look at the next one. All right, next up in the tag team series, we got Sergeant Slaughter and Colonel Mustafa. Kind of a manager pack once again, but Mustafa and Slaughter did wrestle together as a team, most notably with General Adnan against Hogan and Warrior. I believe that was SummerSlam, somewhere in there. So an interesting one. I like this set a whole lot. Actually, this set did not sell in my area very well. It did go down to clearance. It wasn't very well received. I'm not exactly sure the reasoning. Maybe there were some people still heartbroken over Sergeant Slaughter turning coat on America, and they refused to buy this pack. That's probably the answer of why I went to clearance. But I love this pack, and this is something I would love to see Mattel do a take on in this modern day. I believe there's been rumors there might be a Colonel Mustafa figure coming. I could be wrong on that. Somebody can double check. It's almost like a good Jakks story. Double check that. But I think I remember hearing he might be a future collector's edition exclusive. I don't know. That would be awesome. I hope that's the case. But we really could use a Sergeant Slaughter in these army fatigues when he turned against America. We've got a lot of Sergeant Slaughters in his traditional G.I. Joe, USA outfits. This is different. This is something I think we'd all like to see, and I'm hoping this is something we're going to get over the next year. Sergeant Slaughter's in a lot of WWE events. I've talked about it on the channel before. I met Sergeant Slaughter. I asked him all about his most famous battle against Nemesis Enforcer, and he looked at me dead in the eye and said, "Who's Nemesis Enforcer?" And that's all you need to know about that. But love this pack. Some issues, once again, Sergeant Slaughter is small. Colonel Mustafa is huge. He's got the huge manager disease. It's just way too big. And this always, you know, in the Paul Bearer one, we said I could kind of smoke and mirrors it in the package. Not even in the package can I smoke and mirrors this one. Colonel Mustafa, I keep wanting to call him General Adnan, but Colonel Mustafa is way too big. way too big. Slaughter's too little. Obviously, too, I don't know if, I'm sure most of you guys that are watching this know that Colonel Mustafa was the Iron Sheik. I think it would have been a lot cooler instead of calling him Colonel Mustafa, just call him Iron Sheik. I think a lot would have resonated with a lot more people back then, but, you know, change is change, and I think that's what they wanted to do. But like I said, a very cool pack, and I think this is screaming for a modern update. I would love to have General Adnan, Colonel Mustafa, and Sergeant Slaughter all together. But there it is in the pack. Like I said, you got the little knee bend on Mustafa there. It just doesn't even help. You can't even save the day there. Slaughter does come with the nightstick. And they both come with the headdress, which I think is an awesome, cool feature that I would love to see Mattel try to do as well. So like I said, a very, very cool looking set. Just didn't come out the way it needed to. There's the picture on the side, a little glamour shot action. And you got their names on the other side. And then, of course, the back with the whole lineup below. Glamour shots up top. Some words up there. Let's see what they say about these two. Limited edition on the front as well. Let's see. Colonel Mustafa debuted 1972, 261 pounds, 6'1". Finishing move, the camel clutch. Titles, WWE Champion, WWE Tag Team Champion, WWE Manager, WWE Hall of Fame inductee. Sergeant Slaughter debuted 1975, 320 pounds, 6'6". Cobra Clutch was the finisher. Titles, WWE Champion, 4. So it says he had the WWE Championship 4 times. That's definitely not correct. NWA United States Champion, NWA Tag Team Champion, AWA America's Champion. Favorite quote? That's in order. Yep. Or at ease disease is the best quote Sergeant Slaughter ever had from G.I. Joe the movie. If you've never seen the original cartoon G.I. Joe the movie, what are you waiting for? Go turn this off. Go watch it right now. It's amazing. So there it is. I like the medals they had on their jacket here. I always thought that was a nice touch, as were the headdresses. I always thought that was a great touch too. So once again, I'll say it for one last time. Great in theory, great idea, bad in the execution department. Mattel, you're on the clock. Let's get this done in the Elites, and we'll move on to the next one now. All right, the final tag team. Not really a tag team. Once again, a manager and a wrestler in this set, and it is Hulk Hogan, Classy Freddy Blassie. Now, this was an amazing deep cut, and this is part of the reason I love the Jakks Classic Superstars line so much. They were not scared to take chances at all, and this was not really taking a chance because Hulk Hogan always sells. But think back to this time frame. Not a lot of people were in the internet deep into it. I mean, there was people, but not like there is now. And people didn't know Hulk Hogan and Freddy Blassie. That was so beyond them. They weren't aware of that. And at this point, there were so many more Hulk Hogans you really could be giving us. This was the deepest of deep cuts, and I appreciate that. I love stuff like this. We're never going to see this 2-pack again. I just don't see it ever happening. So that was exceptionally cool, and I thought this was really cool to do. But I know a lot of head scratchers back in the day. A lot of people saying, this doesn't make sense. Blassie was never Hogan's manager, and people forget that kind of stuff. So it's a really touch to the past, and blew a lot of people's minds, including mine, that we'd actually get this. However, unfortunately, this is the case of all 3 figures, or all 3 2-packs in this set. Once again, we got the dreaded managerial super tall disease. Freddy Blassie, super tall. A nice repaint of the Freddy Blassie we got in originally. But Hogan's a new one. Hogan's a little different, but Hogan's way too small. Way too small, but I appreciate that we got this incarnation of Hogan. This is the only incarnation of this one we've ever really received. I know there's been some of Japan figures, stuff like that. But as far as Mattel, Jakks, Hasbro, the big LJN, the big players in America at least, we've never got this Hulk Hogan represented before with the cape and all that kind of stuff. So really cool, a real touch point in history. And if you're a true Hulk Hogan collector, can you call yourself a Hulk Hogan collector if you don't have this set? This is really a moment in time, and if you're a serious Hulk Hogan collector, you definitely need this 2-pack. But like I said, there is the dreaded managerial disease, especially outside the box, and even in the box doesn't work so hot. But let's take a look at it there. There's Blassie in that great late 70s, 80s pink color. It comes with his cane. Hogan, I said, he's got his little cape on there. That's a really cool touch, and an awesome cape. Very cool set. I wish I had this one loose. I don't know why I don't, but I never did pick this up loose. Names on the side. And you got the glamour shots on that side, of course. No other accessories with this pack. There's the back, got the lineup down below. Look at Hogan there down below. That's an awesome glamour shot. You got the 2 up top there and the little blurbs. Let's see what it says about old Blassie and Hogan. Freddy Blassie debuted 1942. 220 pounds, 6 feet tall. Finishing move, the Southern Neckbreaker. Was that the Shake, Rattle, and Roll? I think that was the Southern Neckbreaker, if I'm not mistaken. The Bite. That's a great finisher. If you guys ever read Freddy Blassie's book, or you knew about Freddy Blassie, I read the book way back when it came out. He filed his teeth down for some matches in Japan and would bite people on the head, getting blood and all that fun stuff. Way ahead of his time. His other finisher, multiple knee lift to the neck. Not just one, it's multiple knee lifts to the neck. I mean, that's how you do it. He also has a finisher, the Nerve Punch. So you got to watch out. If you were fortunate enough, and there's not a lot of people left that wrestled classy Freddy Blassie, you had to be careful because he had like 10 finishers he could hit you with. You just got to be awfully careful. Titles, WWE Hall of Fame inductee. And his favorite quote, pencil neck geek. So very good. Very, very old school. Hulk Hogan debuted 1978, 275 pounds, 6'7". Finishing move, of course, the leg drop and the big boot to the face. We all know that. Titles, WWE Champion, WWE Tag Team Champion, WWE Royal Rumble winner twice, WWE Hall of Fame inductee. And you know what his favorite quote was around this time? You know, he had a lot of quotes back then, a lot of ones. And his favorite quote when he was with Freddy Blassie back in the day, he would tell Freddy, and he would tell the audience this all the time, when you're in the NWO, you're in for life. What you gonna do, brother, when Hulkamania runs wild on you? And he was saying that even back then. He was like a fortune teller. So there we have it. We're done with another classic tag team video. We'll be back next week with another one. And don't fret, after these tag teams, we still got the 3-packs, the Ring Giants, the 1 of 100s, the 1 of 5,000s, the 1 of 3,000s, the Deluxe Classics, the Rings, the miscellaneous stuff. There's a long way to go in these Jakks Class Superstars videos, and we'll probably do a deep dive into my collection tour. I know some of you guys watched my collection video. We'll probably do a deep dive video on the Jakks Classic, and we'll go figure by figure really quick throughout the whole thing, take a deep dive into that room. So pay attention for that one. Probably sometime June, July. I'm not sure when we'll get through all these videos. There's a long ways to go, like I said, but make sure you're subscribed so you can follow along. Hit the subscription, hit the notification bell. Every Tuesday, a new Jakks Class Superstars video. Also, don't forget to like the video. You're already here. Easy enough to do. Don't forget to subscribe, like I said. Leave me a comment. Do you remember picking these up? Do you have some of these? Are you on the lookout for some of these? Let me know in the comments. So that's it for Jakks Class Superstars Tag Teams. I'm Kyle. See you guys real soon.